Hello and welcome to the JMD and JTT League Review Week 2's version. Back for Week 2. Thanks to everyone who bothered to take the time to watch last week's update. Hopefully you enjoyed it. So let's get. What a week 2 it was. The Indianapolis Colts 2-0. That's all that really matters. Some great weekend of football and a lot more high scoring than it was the week before, and a cautious week 1. So we're going to jump straight in. No messing about today because we've got 11 divisions to go through. So we'll jump straight into the Dynasty League. Start with the Brady division, and our champion, our current Super Bowl holder, Never Dull in Hull, was beaten this week in what could possibly be the game of the entire series. 180.9 plays 179.42 by JMD's very own H. So let's see where this was won or lost in Jamie's case. Lamar and Jordan Love pretty even across there, and the running backs. Lad McConkey only scoring 9.8 for H last night. Probably, on another night, on another week, that could have let him down. CD Lamb, Devontae Adams, Smith and Jigba on the right, really high scoring. Wide receivers not as high scoring for H on the left hand side. And Bowers has really let Jamie down there, although he's really struggling with that knee injury. I'm surprised they let him out there last night. It was one, if we look at the bottom, it was one where a lot of places where I think Brandon Aubrey will have won a lot of matchups for people this week. 22 points from your kicker, including that 64-yard bomb to take the game into overtime, and then obviously the 40-odd yarder to win it in overtime. What a great day for Brandon Aubrey and anybody who's got him in their fantasy team. So that's really pushed H over the edge. 180 points, one of the highest scores of the week. So congratulations to him. Jamie, as a Super Bowl champion of the Brady division, falls to 0-2. So not the start he would have been looking for, and unfortunate with the second highest score in the division this week. Elsewhere, a couple of 170s. Team Wild Guns go to 2-0 with 174 points against owner of Brady, winning that by 20. Renisha Speed gets back to 1-1 with 170.94. Yeovil Town 49ers falling to 0-2. And then at the bottom of the group, 134 points was enough if you're in the right matchup, and Murph was in the right matchup this week. 134 points, enough for a 20-point win over Team Evdokios, who fall to 0-2. Murph moves to 2-0. So we've got Wild Guns and Murph and HJMD, also all three of them 2-0 and unbeaten going into week 3. In the Elway division, we've got 2 teams at 2-0. Team Pestle there with a big win over Team 89 Monday, who were who've put up a big total themselves, 160. They're disappointed to lose that to Team Pestle of 171. In another matchup would have won, but the biggest scorers of the week, Team DS Liddy 92, 186.18. That I think was the highest score. Let me just double check. Yeah, the highest score across all 5 divisions this week. So congratulations to DS Liddy 92 with the highest score. Let's see where it came from. He started Mahomes at quarterback. Running backs of Achan and Cook over 53 points, or almost 53 points for those 2 running backs. Wide receiver, no surprises, he had Amon-Ra St. Brown. Brian Thomas, who's just not getting it done, 5 catches on 19 targets through 2 weeks, including a couple that were hit right at him on Sunday from what I saw on Red Zone. AJ Brown, another one who's not necessarily getting it done, but contributing to quite a big score this week. Njoku with 8, Evans with 10, Kyler Murray in the superflex position, McPherson at kicker, and then the Arizona Cardinals D with that big start against the Panthers with the forced fumble recovery for a touchdown, and then another interception or forced fumble, kicking their day off perfectly. So unfortunately for Chen Burns, never stood a chance against that. 155 is not a poor score, and will win on other weeks and would have won against a couple of other people in the division this week. But it's DS Liddy 92 that moves to 2-0 on 186. Also, like I said, also at 2-0 Team Pestle, and then you've got 4 teams at 1-1. Our very own JTT Cup Commish is 0-2 through 2 weeks, and Suarez Power is 0-2 also. Into the Manning division, crushing defeat for my JMD Penguins this week. Another one of those, second highest score in the division, but Scuba Lee had the highest score. So let's see what Scuba Lee did. Had the highest score despite having Joe Burrow. Got to say, when I looked at the top of this and I had Goff against Burrow, you've got to look at that and think it's hard to lose in that position, but apparently not. Achan and Walker at running back. Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to keep coming up. I know we went through this last week. It was the Denver Broncos defense that kept coming up. It's going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think, this week. Almost 40 points from wide receiver with 3 touchdowns and over 100 yards. He's going to get it done. Smith and Jigba, T. Higgins, solid scores as well. Laporta, not so much at tight end, but McCaffrey, Justin Fields in the sleeper flex position. Boswell scored all right, and the Kansas City D didn't really help him too much. But to put up that level of points with Justin Fields with just short of 4 and Joe Burrow at 7 in your 2 quarterback spots, and to still get over 171, there's some big scoring there from his running back wide receiver positions. So Scuba Lee gets to 1-1. He's also on 1-1. We've got Team Big Bods who won this week, and we've got PDS and the Last Waltz who both lost. Team Gridiron winning by just short of 20 points against PM Big Man's PDS, and Team Hungry Pablo also moving to 2-0. So that's 2 teams at the top of the Manning division with a record of 2-0. On to the Merino division. JMD's Ian Harrison and his Manchester Infernos are 2-0. Rookie Ravens 2-0. And Surviving Taysom Hill is also 2-0. Surviving Taysom Hill with the big score this week, just short of the biggest score across the series. Surviving Taysom Hill from Ginger Mamba 87, 184.6 points. Started off with Sam Darnold. Javonte Williams and Travis Etienne is a running back pairing that you would not have got good trade value for just 2 weeks ago, but both doing it in the early stages of the 2025 season. The wide receiver, Chase, Puka Nacua, and DK Metcalf. A good day from Jake Ferguson with 16, and Chuba Hubbard, who I've got in a couple of teams, and those who listen to the pod will know that I'm a big fan, or at least I'm a bigger fan than the other two are, of Chuba Hubbard. He's 2 weeks on the trot. He scored a receiving touchdown to sort of save his day and get a good score. Penix let him down. Dicker did okay. The Dallas defense let him down with only 1 point, but like I said, the damage was done at the top with Puka, Chase, and those 2 running backs. So a good week for Ginger Mamba's Surviving Taysom Hill, and as I said, he moves to 2-0. Montana division. Top score, Corgis Unite, beaten last week with a disappointing score of 182 this week against JJB Good to send them both to 1-1 in the middle of this division. In fact, we've got 8 teams on 1-1 in the new Montana division, so we would have got pretty good odds on that happening before a ball was kicked a couple of weeks ago. Let's quickly have a look at the Corgi United's team. Joe Burrow again, people winning with Joe Burrow in their side. Pretty impressive to recover from that when he only managed to get 7 points. At least he did score that touchdown or threw that touchdown before he went out. Jonathan Taylor and Alvin Kamara, a couple of more seasoned running backs doing the job there. Malik Neighbors and Keenan Allen both putting up decent scores. Malik Neighbors more than decent with his 167 yards and 2 touchdowns. AJ Brown letting a lot of people down at the moment. Trey McBride putting a solid score, as did DK Metcalf. Just 3 receptions, but he got the touchdown to save the day. Bo Nix put up a decent total of just over 21. Boswell is becoming one of the most reliable kickers in the league, and the Rams defense. So some solid scores. Other than AJ Brown, and obviously Burrow, you can't really blame Burrow. Nobody really letting the Commission's bro down there in the Corgis Unite, and they get the win that they needed to get to 1-1. So congratulations to everyone. Team Craigie Craig 84, Blair Walsh Project, and Team Jordan Dixon, who all won this week to make sure that division is completely level at 1-1. That's the dynasty. I will just say I'll post this in the I'll post this in the chat on all of the leagues. But I've updated the Cup, the Charity Shield. So if you just bear with me a second, because I haven't got this to hand. I updated that. The 12 winners, I will repost that. The 12 winners. The big game was JJB Good from the Montana division, who we've just looked at, beaten by Corgis Unite, 158.4. Beat heads of the table from the Alway division, who scored 158.08. So 0.32 in it was the closest game of the in the cup competition from the Charity Shield point of view. Elsewhere, we had Team the Boy from the Merino division going through with just short of 129 points, but we had Team 89 Monday going out with 160 points. All the luck of the draw at this point. So those 12, I'll post those on the chat. Those 12 teams that are through. I will also sort these seedings out and get the 6 matchups posted on the chat as well in the next couple of days before things kick off on Thursday. So in the round 3 games kick off, so that's the last 12. We'll go through to a last 6, and then those 3 matchups will give us our 3-man final in a couple of weeks' time. Shall we move on to the redraft? Let's start at the top. Redraft A. We've got a couple of teams at 2-0. Broken, Beaten and Scarred, 167 points this week over Rookie Radiant's Catch Me If You Can. Moves them to 2-0. Also at 2-0, Team Ram Raider 1980 only scored 116, but it was enough. If you're playing the right person, it can be enough to beat the final boss, who just over 2 points, 2.3 points there. A low scoring affair between the two of them. And then at the bottom, hot off the grid, also 2-0. So we've got 3 teams at 2-0. The highest score in the division was Providence Steamroller with 170.7 against Team Evdokios. Absolutely smashed Team Evdokios to go to 1-1 or 1-1. Team Evdokios 0-2. So who was the start of the show for Providence Steamroller? Jaden Daniels on Thursday night. Solid performance, bit of garbage time points in there, but came through with it when it mattered. Obviously, picking up a bit of a knee injury towards the end of the game would have helped his rushing total. The Williams brothers, running back Kyron and Javonte, putting up 35 between them. Further down at wide receiver is Puka Nakua and Elite Neighbours. What a 1-2 punch for wide receiver this week in the points that they scored. That's where most of the damage has been done. Tyler Warren, another solid outing from the Colts rookie. James Conner, Cortland Sutton was a disappearing act, only 1 reception for 6 yards. But Cameron Dicker and the Buffalo D gives them a combined 21 to finish that off. On the other side of that, just a few disappointing scores, never really in it. Over 62-point victory for Mezzanine and the Providence Steamrollers, so they go to 1-1. I'll have a quick look at the league as it stands. Like I say, Broken, Beaten and Scarred 2-0 with 336 points scored. Heart of the Gritty 2-0 with 258, and Ram Raider 2-0 with 235. In Division B, we've got highest score of the week goes to The Clue Was in the Handle in Division B, which is another throwback to Bodybag Ben, who quit this division during the draft. 187.5 points, beating 168.74. So a big total for the Scottish Patriot, who will be very disappointed to have checked his sleeper and found out he hasn't won this match. At quarterback, Kyler Murray putting up 17, but disappointing after a solid start from Kyler. He does, those of you, again, who listen to the pod will know I'm a fan of Kyler, but he does tend to come in and out of games and struggles to string it together for 4 quarters. Irving and James Cook given a solid base, very, very solid base at running back, but it was Jamar Chase who's done most of the damage with that 36 at wide receiver. McLaurin, Trey McBride, and then another 30-point wide receiver in Roma Dunze further down. Tyler Loop at the Pittsburgh D, putting up a decent 17 points as well. There, Elsewhere, wins for my Penguins of Dallas to go to 2-0. Pre-pubescent cunts, 1-1. I'm gonna have to, and now I've said that, I'm gonna have to tick that box on YouTube about swearing. Ian, JMD's Ian surviving bodybag Ben won as well to go to 2-0. And at the bottom, Shanahan Plan Man, Kittle Mix PPR goes to 1-1 with a 2-point victory over Team Drubert. So yeah, like I say, just quickly looking at the league, 2 teams surviving bodybag Ben, me and Ian of the JMD pod, both at 2-0. He's 30 points ahead of me, 294 points scored over 2 weeks, which is a really good total. 263 for me. Scottish Patriot at 1-1 on 308, top scorer in the division, but 1-1 with 317 points scored against. Just quickly going back to Division A, I just wanted to flag up that we've had the first trade in one of our leagues, in one of the redraft leagues, and it's a simple play for player. It was me and Seahawks Sixers. AJ Brown is leaving my roster, having annoyed me for a couple of weeks, and is going over to play for Seahawks Sixers for the rest of the way. And I'm getting Lad McConkey in return. Don't see any issues with that. Let me know what you think of that in the comments. First trade, would you have done that? Which side of that trade would you rather be on? Rest of the season, would you rather have AJ Brown or Lad McConkey? Moving into Division C, a close game at the top. Team MKC Papa gets just over a 4-point victory to go to 2-0 and send Team Grovesy 92 to 0-2. Also at 2-0, Starmer is a TWAT. Only 110 scored, but 4 more, well, just enough to beat Kernel Wolves. So to go to 2-0 as well. Further down though, we've got the team the Gumby Beard at 2-0 after 167 points, and the big scorer this week was Team Dingling, who gets back to 1-1 with 177 points. Who did he line up with? Justin Fields, terrible start, but when you've got Achan and Jonathan Taylor running back, that'll make up for it. Pickens, Neighbours, and Jameson Williams as a 3-punch at wide receiver, all scoring touchdowns and putting up decent yards. Juwan Johnson has had a really good start to the season at tight end for the Saints. Ricky Pearsall in that second flex position, and then Matt Gay in the Seattle D against Pittsburgh is a good shout, 14 points. You would not have gone into this week expecting the Denver Broncos defense to get outscored by the Seattle Seahawks by 14 points in fantasy. But that's Indiana Jones for you, ripping up the Denver Broncos. So yeah, we've got in this division, we've got 3 teams who are 2-0. Gumby Beard with 321 points scored through 2 weeks, a really good start to the season. MKC Papa on 252, and Starmer is TWAT on 241. Moving into Division D. Absolutely massive score for Jack Donnelly, Team Jack Donnelly, 187.64 to go to 2-0. Huge week from them. Dak Prescott was the quarterback. Achan and then Tony Pollard, who I was amongst the people who was and ahhing about putting him in a few of my lineups. I expected better from Tony Pollard this week, but got Devon Achan doing the damage on the other running back position. Pickens and Smith-Njigba, obviously Pickens getting that touchdown late on in the Cowboys game to send it towards, well, at least they thought they'd won the game at that point, but helped send it to overtime in the end. Smith-Njigba with another solid 8 receptions for 100 yards. Further down, Juwan Johnson, we've already talked about him. Amon-Ra St. Brown's coming up more than once. Egbuka got another touchdown, so that's 3 touchdowns in 2 career games for him. And Tyler Loop and the Rams D putting up solid scores as well. So really good scoring all the way through that team. Tony Pollard's 9.2, the lowest of the lot for Jack Donnelly. Other wins for Big Bods, who goes to 1-1. Team Long Pink Snapper, also 1-1. Team Bear Down, LCFC, moves to 2-0 with 154 points this week. And Team Abdokios in Division D scores 144 to get back to 1-1. So just the 2 teams again in this division of 2-0. Jack Donnelly's 3-2-3. He's way ahead of Bear Down LCFC, who's just short of 270 through 2 weeks. So a massive start for Jack Donnelly in that division, and very solid advantage in points scored, if not on straight wins. Division E, top scorer, Galzinho in Division E, pips my Penguins, which is annoying. But I'll take the win, easy win for me, easy win for Galzinho, 172 points to get back to 1-1 after a disappointing first week. He had Justin Herbert, who I don't think has been in any of the teams that we focused on so far. Justin Herbert with just short of 23 points facing up against Joe Burrow. Kyron Williams and Marion Hampton, who definitely has been a little bit disappointing so far. I expected, especially with the Najee Harris injury, I expected Marion Hampton to hit the ground running. The fumble last night will not have done him any good whatsoever. Najee Harris coming in and finishing that game off on Monday night. Disappointing running backs, but when you've got Puka Nacua and Amon-Ra St. Brown as your two-headed wide receiver room and Tucker Kraft as your tight end, that's going to win you most weeks with those sort of scoring. McLaurin and Myers both putting up average performances, and then Bates and the Buffalo D puts up over 20 points between them. I feel like if you can get over 20 points from your kicker and your D, you are set up and in a good position. It's not going to cost you. So well done to Galzinho. He, as discussed, moves to 1-1. My Penguins just short of that, just short of 171 points. The Thunder Penguins in this division with a big 70-point win over JKLP's. Hurts to do this to you. So I get back to 1-1. Hurts is 1-1. Renegade Masters with 162 points this week goes to 2-0. So congratulations to them. Random Task also 2-0 after 100. Only put up 138 points, but it was enough to beat Finding Nico and would have been enough to win quite a few matchups in this division. And then Ramalama Ding Dong also with the win. So we've got just the two teams at 2-0. Renegade Masters 296 points scored. Random Task 266 points scored. And then my 295 puts me at the top of the teams at 1-1, but just ahead of Galzinho by 12 points. And then further down, you can see the rest of those teams. Last but by no means least, Division F. The top scorer in this week was Steph the goalie's 174 points. So congratulations to her. Let's book in Bake. It was a big score there. Baker Mayfield and Bucky Irving. Big performance from the Buccaneers last night. So the two Bucks, her favourite team, scoring just over 40 points between them. James Cook, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, who came back into the points this week with 6 for 109. Not seen him on many teams, but had the confidence to play Tyreek Hill. Kyle Pitts, 4 for 37, going back to what we kind of expect from Kyle Pitts, just being a bit average. Tyrone Tracy, a bit disappointing. Myers with a decent score, and then Jake Elliott and the Houston D putting up 20 points to complete the 174 and an easy victory over Drew. But elsewhere in the division, my Wall Street Penguins scored 160 points to beat Galzinho. That's the revenge for pipping me on points in Division E. Team 66 Kicks gets the win to go to 2-0 with 145 points scored. Further down, Bear Down LCFC is 1-1. And Team Pestle, 153 points, puts him at 2-0 and puts him top of the chart. 281, slightly lower than in other divisions, but obviously it's much more competitive in this one. Pestle scores 281 at 2-0. 66 Kicks just behind that at 2-0 with 279 points scored. And then Let's Book in Bakes, big total this week. 1-1 gets them up into third place on 295, ahead of my Wall Street Penguins on 280. So that's it. That's the roundup. Just quickly, let me close that down. Just quickly, let's focus on the Survivor Pod. We lost someone this week, which is the earliest point we could have lost anyone. So from a starting pool of 41, we're down to 40. This week it was Stop the Boats has been knocked out of the Survivor pool, having picked the Dolphins to beat the Colts in week 1. He then didn't pick anyone in week 2, so has been eliminated from the competition. The only other teams, or the only other people who got one wrong this week, 89 Monday went for the Vikings to beat the Falcons, so he loses life and goes down to 1 life. Ash Perry 83 picked the Steelers to beat the Seahawks, so also lost life. So we've got 40 remaining, 36 of which have still got their lives intact. 4 people are on their final life, so we'll keep updating that as we go through. I've also updated all the scores on the challenge side for the cup competition for the redraft. So that's obviously starting to take shape. We've got 10 group games. We're only 2 weeks in, but have a quick look at that. If you started 2-0, great. If you haven't, there's plenty of time to make that up. So but they are all up to date, so you can see how well you went on, and if you didn't win, how close you got. As always, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Anything you want me to do to make this better? Thinking at some point we might get a couple of people on to talk through their teams as we get a bit more into the season. So if you're interested in that, let me know. If you've got any more thoughts on it, just comments underneath here or message me on Sleeper. But again, I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. I am putting some effort in to try and make this league as good as it possibly can be this year. So hopefully everyone's enjoying themselves.